All right, you guys ready? This one's for Lyle and Marina because they asked a very long time ago. It's called Ramora. Shall I tell you a tale of horror and dread? Shall I tell you of spirits that rise from the dead? For few will believe, but all of them feel a chill in the breeze when ghosts become real. And now is the time when ghosts like to listen. They gaze in the fire, and you can see their eyes glisten. They're here, all around us. They know we're afraid. They know these are stories, but not a charade, for the dead do arise when disturbed from the grave. They wander the world, ne'er to behave. They fly through the fog and blend with the mist. Of evil and hatred their souls do consist. They play no favorites, they kill no concern. They search through the shadows, it's fear that they yearn. So, here we all sit, and some are afraid. Deep in your souls, your pride is betrayed. So, all of the spirits will speed to our hollow. The chills down your spine, the others will follow. The darkness will grow, the evil will spread. The ghosts and the goblins will fill you with dread. But ghosts are quite curious, and their wisdom quite short. They like a good story, I'm pleased to report. So as long as I continue my verses of rhyme, our lives are quite safe. Well, at least for a time. For in addition to this, their egos are large. They love to hear lore, so I'll still be in charge, as long as I tell you of their power of fright, and each of you quiver in the chill of the night, as I tell you a tale of treasure and treason, as we sink in the shadows to the end of all reason. It begins on a ship as it sails the sea. Its name is Ramora, a barkentine bee. The ocean is rough in a thunderous storm. The Ramora is lost, lest a hero be born. Deep in the hull there be peace found in prayer, as the cries of the crew bring forth but despair. A small group of peasants who have gathered their wealth huddle and pray for their safety and health. Between them, their savings can start a new life. In charge of their gold are a husband and wife. Their child was born just a day in advance, a bundle of joy their lives to enhance. The man's name is Jacob, a smithy he be. The people he leads count 103. They follow his power, his strength and concern. He is a man whose wisdom they learn. But now he is praying, their trust he's betraying. The Ramora is dying with the lives it's containing. Above on the deck, the air is less still, with the water and waves and the crew they will kill. The captain is calm as he stands at the helm, a crew in his palm, a king in his realm. His eyes are like coal, his heart is of stone. He sees in his dreams that he'll soon be alone. Ne'er does he speak, but all will obey. His words are the law, and none will betray. A sword at his side, a patch on one eye. No one will question it, but all wonder why. He suddenly speaks, and all becomes still. He motions the crew to follow his will. The lifeboats are lowered, and the peasants informed. The Ramora is dying in the strength of the storm. The people are weak, but Jacob is strong. He senses their fear. If the captain is wrong, in the boats they will die. They know it is true, but the ship will but last only a moment or two. But the captain will lead them. They escape to the boats. Jacob can see the first three are afloat. The last is for he and his baby and wife. He prays to the heavens to spare them a life. He looks to the captain and stares in his eye. Deep in the distance he hears the first cries, no fear in the captain. Though death at his door, Jacob climbs to the boat to see him no more. For the captain has chosen a small crew of 5 to remain with Ramora to keep her alive. If she is to die, he'll follow her down. He'll stay at the helm and surely will drown. Well, Jacob sees Ramora fade away in the mist. Along with their gold, the captain insists, for the weight of the gold would cost them their lives. Deep in the fog, he hears the crew's cries. 5 loyal men fade away with their ship. as the thunder will rumble like a crack of the whip. But Jacob is puzzled as he watches it fade. The ship seemed so sturdy the way it was made. The captain was calm, and the five not in fright. Something was missing. All was not right. How stupid, he thought, to think of it after. What he heard were not cries, but the cackle of laughter. Jacob believed, but betrayed to his death, shed a tear for his child and wife, Elibeth. Jacob looked on as the ocean was fed. Already 1/3 of his people were dead, some of them children, and some of them old, but all of them soon their deaths he'd behold. A wave took another, only his boat remained. His wife and their child it also contained. Many were crying, and all were afloat, trying to climb in the bow of his boat. But Jacob knew well, it too would be lost. And then it was over. In a wave it was tossed. All were sent flying, and many were dead. But Jacob is strong, the people had said. So he called to his friends to hold to him tight, and with 8 on his arms he swam in the night. The water was ice, and his muscles were worn. The people held tight, and his flesh it was torn. He prayed to the Lord to forgive his mistakes, then asked for revenge on the captain to take. Then he looked to his baby, and he held Elibeth and shed a small tear as he sank to his death. When the storm finally broke, the Ramora was well, though Jacob had prayed that he'd see her in hell. The crew was below as they laughed with the gold and talked of the peasants who had died in the cold. But they wondered how much the captain would keep, so they plotted to kill him that night while asleep. So they crept to his cabin and jumped to his bunk, but all that they found was an old empty trunk. Where could he be, they thought, and they feared, with his patch on one eye and that black satin beard. As they sat and they pondered the mysterious joke, the cabin was filled with a cloud of white smoke. For the captain set fire to Ramora that night. With the gold in a body, with the gold in a boat, he faded from sight. As he rode through the waves, their flesh he could smell, as his small crew of 5 were burning in hell. The Ramora was lost as the sky turned to black, and a chuckle was heard from old Captain Jack. How clever, he thought, ne'er a voice to be heard. How easy it is when the law is your word. His eye was like coal, his heart was of stone, his sword at his side, he sailed alone. Soon the wind was upon him, and the waves were to grow. He thought of the bodies he buried below. He thought he heard sounds like a moan in the waves. He thought of the others in their watery graves. Waves began breaking on the stern of the boat, and he feared with another it would not stay afloat. But he was alone and rather quite light. For this he was thankful, and all was all right. Another wave crashed, and another again. The captain was calm as the water rushed in. But the next wave he beheld brought forth a great fright. He saw what he thought was a glimmer of light, but then, in the shadows, a ghost he beheld. 'Twas Jacob he saw, though his body was swelled. Alive he was strong and heavy with might. Now dead he was bloated, an unearthly sight. His body was heavy with salt in the sea. His skin was a pale gray color of green. His clothes were all tattered and covered with weed. The captain was frightened, couldn't believe. Well, the body was washed into the arms of old Jack. The weight of the body now knocked him aback. The boat began sinking and water came in. The captain was trapped under Jacob and pinned. The weight was too much for the waterlogged boat. With the gold in the body, it would not stay afloat. The body too heavy, it lay on its back. He grasped for the gold that was now in a sack. He tied it to a rope and afloat to it bound. Saving the gold, he was not fearing to drown. So he tossed out the gold and gasped for a breath as the boat and the body now sank to their death. Well, this he expected, but what he did not was the justice of Jacob, the revenge he had sought. For the captain went down with a curious cry, ne'er to believe the reason and why. For Jacob had clung with the death of his grip to the sword of the captain that hung at his hip. So, now I am finished. There's no more story to tell. The captain is dead and his soul is in hell. But the gold is still out there, afloat on a wave. But Jacob is waiting in his watery grave. For those who have hearts that are heavy as stone, to the depths he will drag you to die there alone. So this is the end, my foolhardy friends. The spirits will moan when my poetry ends. So look to the shadows, their eyes you will see. And like the old captain, you too will believe.